This video is brought to you by Blue Apron. Zelda II: The Adventure of Link is known as the black sheep of the Zelda franchise and is often considered to be a bad game. Now, much like the first game, Zelda II is another game from my childhood that I've played a lot. I've told this story before, but back then, my oldest brother had a stash of NES games hidden away in his room. I wasn't allowed to play them. But that didn't stop me from sneaking in there and secretly playing them anyway. And after quickly giving up on that game, I got around to playing Zelda II: The Adventure of Link. And having played it numerous times since being a kid, I can safely say, I like it. I think it's an enjoyable game that doesn't deserve the hate that it gets. And for the first time, I'm going to play through it and really dissect the whole game and examine it thoroughly while keeping its common criticisms in mind. The very first screen is perfect. It immediately throws you into what this game is to learn everything you need in a safe environment. Zelda is asleep on the altar, and you need the Triforce of Courage to wake her up. And showing her right here is brilliant. She's here, she needs your help. Set forth, adventurer! I also love this Link. Before this, all we had was this tiny looking dude with green eyebrows. And now, bam! That is a heroic looking Link. He's lean, he's tall, he ain't got no pants. His pose after swinging his sword was just so cool looking. And with no enemies on this screen, it gives you a chance to safely play with a different gameplay style compared to the first Zelda. You can teach yourself to jump, crouch, stab high and low, and get a feel for the slight delay you have for attacking. It's a very minor thing, but this opening screen in the palace is perfect, and it sets up the gameplay, the story, and your resolve. It's great. Stepping out of the palace reveals more major differences in Zelda II, the overworld and the random battles, complete with killing enemies to earn experience points. Now this is a large point of contention when it comes to criticisms of this game. These RPG-heavy elements are generally considered not welcome in a Zelda game, which is bizarre to me since so many people love classifying the Zelda series as RPGs. Think about it, how many best RPGs of all time lists have you seen with Zelda on it? But because numbers show up in Zelda 2, it sucks and it's not Zelda. But now the numbers are back, so it's cool again. Personally, I don't mind the random battles. It gives it out to people who are stuck because they can't get past dungeons or whatever bosses. They can choose to fight enemies until they level up and have more power, though at no point is this required in the entire game. You never have to stop and get stronger through grinding, which plagues so many other RPGs, because Zelda 2 does an excellent job of guiding the player along and does not introduce artificial difficulty through overpowered enemies. Now, I'm not calling the game fair, because there are plenty of times where it isn't. I'll get to that in a bit. I always looked forward to getting to the palaces. One, the music is freaking awesome. It's so good. They remixed it for Smash Brothers after all. It's also the most rewarding places of the entire game. I mean, aside from obtaining the hidden items needed for progression, and the fact that they're requisites for beating the game, I mean that these are the most fun. You get to fight the most interesting enemies and have the most fun out of the game's combat. The Iron Knuckles probably look silly to you now, but as a kid, this was a sword fight to me. Eventually, I always relied on the most consistent way of guaranteeing damage back then. A jumping crouch stab. Which, I have no idea how that works in real life. I honestly enjoyed fighting. Compared to the first game, the enemies were more obstacles than enjoyable fights. But in Zelda 2, when I see an Iron Knuckle, my response is, yeah, bring it on! Although, Link's reach with the sword is way too short. Like his sword shrinks upon every swing. The sword beam returns, but the most brutal enemies that get up close are usually immune to it, so it's close to worthless. Still, the upgraded combat also made boss fights way more fun. Well, most of them. And upon beating them and placing the palace's jewel, you instantly gain a full level. So yeah, I always thought the dungeons were rad. Though that doesn't mean I'm not aware of some of the main complaints about them. For example, one complaint is the dungeons are confusing and you get lost easily. But you only go in two directions. Seriously, am I missing something here? I never felt lost in the dungeons. They're extremely straightforward, with a few elevators and keys to unlock doors in each. And it's true that this game doesn't have an in-game map at all, but you can always do like we did back then. Make your own. Heck, I still did. However, upon playing it again, I did notice that a lot of dungeons reuse the same room layouts within itself. I can see how that can be confusing since they look the same, but even with similar looking rooms, I still had a general idea of where I was in dungeons without the need of a map. Maybe people meant the overworld, that it's easy to get lost in this? Well, again, I disagree. If anything, this is one of the most straightforward overworlds in the franchise. From the moment you leave Hyrule Castle, there are pathways directing you exactly to where you need to go. If anything, this brings up one of my main criticisms of Zelda II. It's extremely linear. The feeling of exploration and finding secrets doesn't really exist in this game compared to all of the others. There aren't secret caves to discover since they're right there plain as day. That isn't to say that there aren't secrets, as numerous squares on the overworld contain hidden items, usually experience point-filled pea bags, extra lives, or heart containers. But a lot of times, these are telegraphed pretty hard, usually standing out in some way. There are numerous literal roadblocks that prevent you from having a feeling of freedom of exploration. Sure, the later Zelda titles aren't as free as the original game, but none of them feels as restrictive as Zelda 2. And the more obtuse secrets are usually pointed out by the local townsfolk, which I think is one of the best things Zelda 2 did. The people in towns are actually really helpful. Except when they're secretly bats. God, why won't you die? I feel like this is one of the more complained about aspects of Adventure of Link, that the villagers are as cryptic as the ones in, say, Castlevania 2, but I really don't think that's the case. Find a candle in Parappa Palace, and we find the candle in the first palace, which means the clue of find heart in southern Parappa means we can go south and eventually find a heart container. And also Stonehenge. They have several clues like this to help lead you to additional hearts, magic containers, items, or palaces. And they're honestly good. Each village also has a wise man to bestow a new magic spell on Link. Even cooler is that a couple of them have a sword master that teaches Link some now iconic sword attacks. The up stab and the down stab. I love this idea of progression for Link from learning and becoming a better swordsman, instead of just getting things. It's Link's inherent potential that's growing, rather than getting stuff. And this concept isn't revisited again until Twilight Princess. Of course, there's also the ladies here that will refill your magic and your life meters. And yes, we all know the unoriginal juvenile joke with this. What does she do with Link in there? I always figured she was doing something to help Link rest, such as giving him a home-cooked meal. Like by using the recipes from Blue Apron. You like that segue? Blue Apron is a food delivery service that ships meals right to your front door. Every box comes filled with fresh ingredients for 3 different meals, and it comes with exactly what you need, so you don't need to run off to the store to get anything. I don't consider myself to be a cook at all, but I do really enjoy cooking. Since I'm not great at it, Blue Apron works perfectly. It broadens my horizons on different meals and has taught me a lot already just from doing it. I also really like how you can customize your shipments. You can select from a variety of options weeks in advance to make sure you get something you're interested in. Like I said, I'm not really a cook. Thankfully, every shipment comes with these recipe cards showing you exactly what meal you got, the ingredients you use for it, and what the food should look like at the end. This is important. This is how I know if I screwed up or not. Which I haven't at all, since the recipe cards all come with very easy to follow instructions. And there aren't a whole lot of steps, so nothing seems daunting, and you can make all of the meals in less than 40 minutes. I think it's a great service. Use the link in the description below to sign up, and the first 100 people that do get 3 free meals off their first order. Now back to Zelda 2. You'll be seeing these restorative women quite frequently, because this game is unfair. A lot of people call the game hard, which I don't think it is. I personally don't even have any troubles with Death Mountain, a maze of caverns filled with enemies that really isn't as confusing as it looks. But it is unfair. For example, losing all of your lives. Well, first off, this game over screen legitimately terrified me as a kid. This screen is haunting and it's evil. If you lose all of your lives, you go back to the very start of the game in Hyrule Castle. This includes dying in a dungeon. You go back to the castle, rather than the entrance. You do quickly create shortcuts to return to later parts of the game easily, but this punishment is so needless. Still, the game's not hard until this point right here, past the Road Devil. After here, everything kicks your ass without any kind of remorse. Just getting to the next area requires going down a path filled with these lizard dudes who pelt you with rocks unabashedly, and there are no nearby towns to restore yourself at. The only one after this pathway of pain is Kasuto Town, which is through a cave system and a bunch of other crap. Basically, this means the final areas just drain your resources before you even get to any of the palaces. And on top of that, getting to the final palace from here has another pathway filled with event squares filled with these coconut eyeball things. So you have 2 long stretches of road that just whittles you down, and the life spell can only do so much. That's not to mention all the other bridges, cliffs, and pathways that have a lot of pits to instantly kill you. And a lot of times, they're accompanied by bubbles. Bubbles that hurt you and knock your ass into pits. This is just stupid. I noticed that a lot of enemy placements are just stupid too. They're frequently put into unfair positions just to mess you up. Usually it's to knock you into lava or holes or whatever so that you die, and then you end up all the way back at the beginning. You have to kill these floating heads dudes or you will get knocked into lava. In a dungeon that requires you to use all the magic that you have, it's filled with a bunch of these skull dudes that drain your magic, and they take so many hits to kill. Look at this. How am I supposed to not get hit by them? The final palace is just brutal. These fire phoenix things deal so much damage, even with the shield spell on, as they hurt a lot and their flames chase after you. Remember those iron knuckles that were fun to fight? Now they're jumpy eagle assholes that hurt even more. And you can't waste too much magic going through this dungeon because you need a lot of it to fight the Thunderbird boss. The only way to damage him is to use the Thunder spell first, the most expensive spell in the game. You need the magic to hurt him, along with enough life to fight him. And get this, if you game over in the Great Palace, you restart at the Great Palace. What? Why wasn't it like this for every other one? As if fighting the Thunderbird wasn't enough, there's another boss fight after him. It's the final boss of the whole game, and I gotta say, it's so good it makes up for all the crap you go through. Warwick Davis, holding the Triforce of Courage, has Link fight against his greatest foe, himself, Dark Link, or Shadow Link. This was long before Shadow Link started being overused in way too many Zelda games, and it makes for an awesome final boss. No tricks or gimmicks, just solid, frantic, one-on-one sword fighting against yourself. It's intimidating, and it's so cool! Or you can beat him by crouching in the corner and stabbing like a wiener. But if you fight him as the game intended, you'll see how brilliant it is. Blades clashing, bouncing off each other's shields, jumping and using downstabs. It's a fantastic fight. And if you break off and try to bait him in, he is stalwart, unnerved, unmoving. You can feel the intensity. He won't attack first. He'll wait for you to make your move. After all, he is your shadow. He only moves when you do. I know it's way easier to beat him if you crouch in the corner, and after being drained of so much life and magic, I wouldn't blame you. But I implore you to fight Shadow Link as intended. It's one of the best final bosses in Zelda history. After destroying the embodiment of Link's darkness, the Triforce of Courage is obtained, and using the power of all 3, Link awakens Zelda, and the game is over. And for how much everybody dislikes this game, it's the only one that gives people what they most want out of a Zelda story. Actual romance. Boom! Zelda and Link embrace. This is what we all want, right? We all ship this? Well, maybe you guys do. There's only one Zelda girl for my heart. Having played through it again, I still really enjoy Zelda II, but I'm much more aware of its cracks and faults within its own design than I was before. Does that make it a truly bad game? No, not at all. Far from it. It is a good game, but unfair and, at times, unremarkable. That's why my final rating for this game is a wooden sword out of 10. It works fine. It's not great, but it's not absolutely worthless. Zelda II: The Adventure of Link has extremely solid controls, even experience point progression, and it honestly does do a good job of leading the player to where they need to go, either through the overworld pathways or surprisingly helpful NPCs. The combat is fun. I honestly love getting into sword fights, and the introduction of attacks like the down stab are fantastic. I like the magic system. Healing yourself is great, and turning into a fairy to fly around and go through locked doors is neat. It's clearly not the sharpest sword, as it has plenty of problems. The sword attack is frankly too short, the practically non-existent checkpoint system is an unnecessary pain, and it relies on a lot of unfair enemy advantages, usually knocking you into death pits, exhausting you through unavoidable event stages, or just ramping up the enemies to stupid levels, and really poor placement. But it's still fun, and it's had a lasting impact on the franchise far more than most people give it credit for. Because of that, I still recommend playing it, but probably on the eShop so that you can use save states and alleviate some headache. Zelda 2 is still one of my favorite Zelda games, problems and all. I really don't follow the mindset of just because it's different, it's automatically bad. For what it is, it's solid. And if anything, Zelda 2 is the only Zelda game to ever give us the pogo stick of death. Boing 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 boing. Aww. Thank you so much for watching! Be sure to give this video a like and leave a comment below. And if you haven't seen yet, I have all new ProJared shirts available now on the Yeti.com. Don't forget to subscribe or subscribe to my gameplay channel where I just played through the original Legend of Zelda randomized. That was a trip.